The news hour coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tuning app onto your mobile phone today and catch up on all the latest news from HitzAfrik Radio. Broadcasting live on modern Ghana and our website www.hitzafrikradio.org. HitzAfrik Radio News Hour live.
It is a beautiful evening, and the time is exactly 19 hours GMT in the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Today is the 14th day of the month of April 2021. My name is Abena Ahanye. Now let's do the news headlines. Yahuda church members assault 2 men. Senior mortuary man saved a 9-year-old boy declared dead. Minister receives sack notice over flag bearer campaign. I won't act on hearsay to deal with my appointees. These are many other stories I bring your way this evening. Stay tuned as we do the news in details.
The news hour coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tuning app onto your mobile phone.
You're still logged on to HitzAfrik Radio and TV. We are transmitting live on our website at www.hitzafrikradio.org. Also, we are streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share to all our social media platforms. My name is Abena Ahanye. Now the news in details. Yahuda church members assault 2 men, accuse them of stealing 1 bag of cement for their building project. Some members of a church by name Yahuda Church at Kwewu Esubeng in the Kwewu South Municipality have assaulted Davis Kweku Atta and Samuel Kweku Esiedu, where the latter has been referred to the Komfu Anochie Teaching Hospital, going for examining, but financial challenge is yet to pave way for him to go through the process. Both victims were revived at the Holy Family Hospital at Nkoko from coma after referrals from the Kwewu Praso Hospital. It also happened that Davis is a mason apprentice, and he and his master were keeping some bags of cement in the same place where the members of the said church were keeping theirs for their building project. To them, a bag of the cement was missing, and Davis is their prime suspect. They claim that the only law they know is to assault their suspect. When their victim, Davis, had escaped death from their assault, they found Samuel with Davis the following day, and they assaulted him as well. The case has since been lodged at the Kwewu Praso Police, and 3 out of the 4 members of these perpetrators have since been arrested, whose names were given as Yahuda Marcus, brother, and Kuse. Game is still on the run. The people of Kwewu Esubeng have also responded to the situation that they do not need the Yahuda church in the town, for they have evidence that one must be a smoker of marijuana to be a member of this Yahuda church. It is a threat to the future of the youth of the town, for they have won 30 souls of the youth of Osubeng. Just last Saturday on the 10th April 2021, the Yahuda church members openly smoked marijuana and openly puffed the smoke on the youth and children of the True Faith Church, which shares boundary with them. Moving on to other stories, senior mortuary attendant disclosed how he saved the life of a 9-year-old boy who was declared dead. A senior mortuary attendant at the Bolgatanga Hospital, Alhassan Azari Daniel, has disclosed how he saved the life of a 9-year-old boy who was declared dead and nearly deposited at the mortuary. Al-Hassan, as he is popularly known, narrated the chilling story In an exclusive interview on Dreams FM's local language program dubbed Bure Ilyela with Stanley Abopam. While giving the detailed account of some of the bizarre and unforgettable experiences of work as a mortuary man for over 20 years, he mentioned that he was in his usual line of duty and that he was expected to attend to the medical procedures of patients who had passed away. Moving on to other stories, senior mortuary attendant disclosed how he saved the life of a 9-year-old boy who was declared dead. A senior mortuary attendant disclosed how he saved the life of a 9-year-old boy who was declared dead. The mortuary attendant said the boy was declared dead after he was found in the morgue with a gunshot wound to the head. Kindly pardon our technical challenges. Moving on to our next story, senior mortuary attendant disclosed how he saved the life of a 9-year-old boy who was declared dead. A senior mortuary attendant at the Bolgatanga Hospital, Al Hassan Azari, disclosed how he saved the life of a 9-year-old boy who was declared dead. Moving on to our next story. Senior mortuary attendant disclosed how he saved the life of a 9-year-old boy who was declared dead. Al-Hassan, as he is popularly known, narrated the chilling story in an exclusive interview on Dreams FM's local language program dubbed Bure Yela with Stanley Abopam. While giving a detailed account of how some of the bizarre and unforgettable experiences of working as a mortuary for over 20 years, he mentioned that he was in his usual line of duty and got a from nurses in the children's ward to pick up the body of the 9-year-old. Upon reaching the bed where the boy lay, he rubbed the little boy and placed him on the mortuary trolley and headed back to the mortuary. According to Al-Hassan, while approaching the mortuary, the little boy coughed and sneezed almost at the same time. Moving on to other stories, ministers receive sack notice over flag bearer campaign. President Akufo-Addo has served notice that he would sack any minister or appointee in his government found to be involved in campaigning to become the 2024 presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party (NPP), the party's General Secretary, John Boadu, had disclosed. President Akufo-Addo, in his capacity as the President of the Republic of Ghana, has made it clear that anybody that he finds to be distracting his government as a result of his or her ambition, he would not hesitate in getting them out of his government so that he can concentrate on their presidential ambition or whatever. Sometimes it is very difficult for me to talk about these things, but it looks like that is what we are to do. We are putting forward some proposals to the NPP National Steering Committee quickly. By this month, we would be at a National Executive Committee to fashion out some guidance in order to allow government work to go on. What it means is that it will get all and sundry to understand that there is no point in testing waters now, whether by their assigns or by they themselves or whosoever, and there would be very punitive sanctions if one decides to disobey such a measure. Mr. John Boadu told the Big Bulletin on Asasi Radio in an exclusive interview monitored by the publisher. The NPP General Secretary described the ongoing subtle campaign by some government appointees, mostly ministers of state, as unnecessary distractions for the government of the day. He explained it is an unnecessary distraction because if you read the constitution of our party, it reads that anytime we are in government, we elect our presidential candidate not less than 11 months to general elections. What it means is that technically, the election of our presidential candidates can be done in January 2024. If that is so, if you start campaigning from now, the obvious thing that will happen is a distraction of government programs and government activities. If we are not mindful of these things, what it means is that over the next 3 years, government activities and the president's actions are going to be distracted by these needless water testers. John Boadu said, even ahead of the NEC meeting to address the issue, the party has found a way of reducing the free for all rat race for the flag bearer slot. About 2 weeks ago, it was very vibrant and all over the place, but when we made a statement and cautioned them, it came down till the recent statement by the majority leader. I think that it is unnecessary, it is uncalled for, and they just have to be guided by our own constitution. The danger involved is that if we do not put a stop to it now, we may have other people and organizations or political parties who do not wish us well, also sowing seeds of discord among us. The publisher says so. Moving on to other stories. National consensus must promote responsible, viable small-scale mining, President Akufo-Addo. Out of this maiden consultative dialogue, I hope we will build a national consensus around a national policy on small-scale mining that promotes a responsible, viable, environmentally sustainable small-scale mining industry which has discarded the use of mercury, chamfans, and excavators, which has barred the involvement of foreign nationals, and which has rejected the destruction of our forest, environment, and water bodies. These were the words of the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, on Wednesday, 14th April 2021, at the Consultative Dialogue on Small-Scale Mining, organized by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Speaking at the forum, President Akufo-Addo noted that certain occurrences, especially in the run-up to the election of 7th December last, inspired his insistence on the whole nation having a national conversation on Galamsey. According to President Akufo-Addo, it is time the Ghanaian people acknowledge that Ghana is not made up of only the humans, but is also made up of soil, the mountains and valleys, the forests, the rivers, the lakes, the seas, and the plant and animal life as well. Without them, we humans cannot and will not survive, and so they also need nurturing. While stressing that there is nothing wrong with mining or trying to exploit the minerals in the nation has been with, he explained the mining becomes problematic and dangerous when methods employed do pose a danger to the land, the water bodies, and the very lives of the people. Mining becomes a danger to the society when, after extracting the gold, diamond, or other stones and minerals, the land is left degraded and poisoned with toxic materials. The water bodies are turned into entities that can no longer support life, and plants can fish without survive in our rivers, he added. President Akufo-Addo continued, "We have had beautiful and majestic rivers and streams. Today, there is not much to celebrate about the pra or the brim, and there is not much to be excited about over our farmed thick forest and the animals that inhabit them. Unacceptable mining and logging practices have laid them to waste. The holding of the national conversation on Galamsey," he explained, "is crucial based because we cannot have one part of the political divide campaigning for Galamsey in the bush and the other waging an official fight against Galamsey in the open." The president noted that we do not need foreigners to campaign for the protection of Ghanaian land, our inheritance. We do not need special interest groups to campaign for the protection of Ghanaian soil, flora, and fauna. It is the land of our ancestors, and we do not need foreigners to campaign for the protection of it. He added that we do not need foreigners to campaign for the protection of Ghanaian land, our inheritance. We do not need special interest groups to campaign for the protection of Ghanaian soil, flora, and fauna. It is the land of our ancestors, and we do not need foreigners to campaign for the protection of it. We cannot have one part of the political divide campaigning for Galamsey in the bush and the other waging an official fight against Galamsey in the open. The president noted that we do not need foreigners to campaign for the protection of Ghanaian land, our inheritance. We do not need special interest groups to campaign for the protection of Ghanaian soil, flora, and fauna. It is the land of our birth. It is the land we inhabit. It is the land that supports our lives and livelihoods. It is the land we named Ghana at independence 64 years ago, and we, the Ghanaian people, must be its best protectors. He thus appealed for the deliberations at the second-day consultative dialogue to be devoid of partisanship or narrow parochial interest, adding that we should be able to build a broad-based national consensus around the necessity to stamp out the menace of illegal small-scale mining and the need to support and grow responsible small-scale mining. I am determined to force the laws on illegal mining on no matter the subject, high or low. I will, however, not act on the basis of hearsay or mere allegations without more. I will not hesitate to act, though where the evidence is hard before the kindly pardon us on our technical challenges. Now, let's continue with our story. I am determined to enforce the laws on illegal mining, no matter the subject, high or low. I will, however, not act on the basis of hearsay or mere allegations without more. I will not hesitate to act, though where the evidence is hard before the police, and I will do irrespective of the standing of the person or persons involved. That is the true meaning of equality before the law, President Akufo-Addo added. Moving on to other stories, I won't act on hearsay to deal with my appointees. President Akufo-Addo has cautioned political actors, particularly members of the opposition parties, to hold President Akufo-Addo has cautioned political actors, particularly members of the opposition parties, to halt unscrupulous allegations against members in his government to be dealing in illegal mining. Delivering a speech at the National Dialogue on Small-Scale Mining on Wednesday, the president said, although he is determined to enforce the laws on individuals who are caught engaging in galamsey, he will not activate them based on mere allegations. He insisted that the evidence against the said accused must be sound and in good standing. I am determined to enforce the laws on illegal mining, no matter the subject, high or low. I will, however, not act on hearsay or mere allegations without more. I will not hesitate to act, though where the evidence is hard before the police. And this is where we end our local stories. Stay tuned as we do other African countries.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned.
You're still logged on to HitzAfrik Radio and TV. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Do well to follow us on all our social media handles. Also, we are transmitting live on our website at www.HitzAfrikRadio.org. In other African countries, as Uganda, fighting cancer with mobile mammography van in Uganda. On this episode of Inspire Africa, Jerry Fisayo Bambi takes us to hear the story of a mobile mammography van in Kampala conducting free breast cancer screenings. The photographer capturing the natural and cultural beauty of Gabo, and later a chat with Mukandelteri Dumela, founder of Siptonga.org, a project aimed at digitizing the Siptonga language in South Africa. The Securities and Exchange Commission's SEC circular on the trading of foreign securities by investment platforms in Nigeria by Ibrahim Moshood. The Securities and Exchange Commission's SEC circular on the trading of foreign securities by investment platforms in Nigeria. The Securities and Exchange Commission's SEC circular on the trading of foreign securities by investment platforms in Nigeria. Coronavirus, Ethiopia, COVID-19 update, 13th April 2021. Moving on to other stories. Around 20 students, mainly aged 3 to 5 years, killed in Niger school fire. Some 20 children died Tuesday after several classrooms caught fire at a school in Niger's capital, Niamey, the fire service said. 21 classrooms in Straw Hut caught fire. Around 20 children were trapped in the blaze, Fire Service Commander Sidi Mohammed said on public television. Rescuers set off rapidly and the fire was put out, but the power of the fire was enormous, he added. The children were not able to escape. Public television, citing witnesses, said the fire had broken out at around 4 o'clock p.m., 15 hours GMT, when the victims were in class. The cause of the fire was not known yet. Prime Minister Ahumadu Mahamudu traveled to the scene of the tragedy on the edge of the capital to offer his condolences to the children's parents. Niger ranks as the poorest country in the world under the UN's 189-nation Human Development Index. Authorities in the Sahel country have built thousands of straw huts to serve a classroom with children sometimes seated on the floor. Fires in these buildings are fairly common due to the flammable materials used, but such accidents have rarely proved fatal. Moving on to other stories, Malawi to destroy thousands of expired COVID vaccines, minister. Medical personnel are seen at an ambulance outside the main COVID-19 treatment center at Kamuzu Central Hospital in Lilongwe, Malawi, in January 18, 2021. More than 16,000 doses of vaccine have reached their expiration date and will be destroyed in Malawi after arriving in the Southern Africa country 3 weeks ago, the health minister said on Wednesday. Of the 102,000 doses sent by the African Union AU, some 16,400 were not used and expired on Tuesday, Charles Mwasambo told AFP. Moving on to the world news. Stay tuned as I fetch you the stories.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned.
Now let's do some world news. Torres Strait aids Australian islanders in landmark climate fight. A group of ingenious islanders from Australia's Torres Strait has launched a world-first legal battle in a bid to protect their homes. They urge Australia has breached their right to culture and life by failing to adequately address climate change. The low-lying islands, located on the northern tip of Australia, have seen rising sea levels, coastal erosion, and flooding in recent years. It's the first time a claim of this kind has been taken to the UN Human Rights Committee. And this is where we end our world story. Stay tuned as we do the entertainment news.
The News Hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned.
Moving on to our entertainment news. Equipping Polo to undergo pregnancy test as court convicts her. Ghanaian actress Rosemond Alaji Brown, aka Equipping Polo, who is facing an Accra Circuit Court over the publication of a nude picture with her 7-year-old son in June last year, has been convicted on her own plea by an Accra Circuit Court. This comes after the actress changed her plea from not guilty to all the 3 charges leveled against her. Sentencing was deferred by the presiding judge, Ms. Christiana Khan, after Equipping Polo pleaded guilty to all charges. The actress appeared before the court in a black dress and black nose mask with her hands folded amid socks as she pleaded guilty to all 3 charges. The court will now sentence her on her own plea, but as a requirement by law, it has to be sure of her state as a woman, hence an order for a pregnancy test to be conducted to ensure that she is not pregnant. Equipping Polo was therefore remanded into police custody to appear on Friday, April 16, 2021, with the results of the pregnancy for sentencing. The actress, who is facing an Accra Circuit Court over the publication of a nude picture with a 7-year-old son in June last year, initially pleaded not guilty to charges of publication of obscene materials, engaging in domestic violence, namely conduct that in any way undermines another person's privacy or integrity, and engaging in domestic violence, namely conduct that in any way detracts or is likely to detract from another person's dignity and worth as human being. When she first appeared before the court on November 19th last year, but she changed her plea. The trial was expected to commence today, but when the case was called this morning, counsel for Equipping Polo by Andy Butcher informed the court that his client wanted to change her plea. The facts, as narrated by the prosecution lead by Chief Inspector Agatha Asantewa earlier, were that the complainant, Mr. Bright K. Appiah, is the director of Child Rights International Ghana. On June 30th last year, the prosecution said Rosemond celebrated her son's 7th birthday and took her nude pictures together with her son, who was also half naked, and posted same on her Instagram page, which went viral on social media. The pictures attracted comments, adding that the behavior of the accused person undermined the dignity of her 7-year-old son, among others. The prosecution said the complainant petitioned the Director General CID, and the matter was referred to the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, DOVSU. Rosemond, the prosecution said, was arrested, and he, in her caution statement, admitting posting the nude picture with his son unintentionally. And this is where we end our news for tonight. Stay tuned as we do the news headlines. You're still logged on to HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Now, let's do a recap of the headlines. Yahuda church members assault 2 men. Senior mortuary man saved a 9-year-old boy declared dead. Minister receives sack notice over flag bearer campaign. I won't act on hearsay to deal with my appointee, says the president. My name is Abna Ahunier and I brought the news to you this evening. Have a beautiful evening and do enjoy the rest of our programs.